Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Sistrunk and I'm reaching out to the student body. Okay, students, we just completed a holiday and I hope that you were able to get refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to go for the next part of this class. We are entering in the third week of the semester. So now I know everyone understands exactly what they need to do. They done worked out all the kinks and bugs and they're ready to just shoot out. This week is critically important because in this particular week I'm paying attention to everything everybody do because I want to make sure we continue to smoothly move on and get ready for our midterm exams. So we're marching up to our midterm exam. Remember, this is an 8-week course, so the midterm exams will be in 2 weeks. It's just half the semester. Of course! With that being said, what I want to do now is start demonstrating the importance of these two operating systems. As you know, we have the Linux Essential Operating Systems and we have the Windows Operating System. Now, you cannot talk about one and don't talk about the other. Some of you believe that, hey, I'm in a Linux class, so I'm focusing on the Linux. And some of you believe I'm in the Windows class, but I'm focused on the Windows. What my job is the responsibility of making sure that you understand both operating systems so you can prepare yourself for the real IT world. We have some people who only know Windows and some people who only know Linux, but that holds you back in our industry. You have to have mastery over both of them. Now, when I use the term mastery, it doesn't mean you need to know it all right now. You gradually grow into it. That's the mastery of both of them. So my job today is to demonstrate both of these operating systems. You're going to see me do labs in the Linux system, and then you're going to see me do labs in the Windows system. I'm going to start out by doing that today, but I'm going to ask you questions all through this session. And the first question that I'm going to ask both of you, even though you may say, I don't really know anything about the Windows system, which I doubt that because it's universal, or I really don't know nothing about the Linux system, and I can look in your pocket, you got a phone, which is an Apple phone, or you got a Android phone. And the Android is in the Apple phone is actually the Linux operating system on that phone. So you know how to use those phones really good. I'm going to ask you to dig deep into yourself and say, what do I know? So I can respond to these questions. And the first question is this. Compare and contrast the Windows operating system and the Linux operating system. That's your first question. I want you to give me an understanding of what you know about the two operating systems. And you can't say, well, Professor, I don't know anything. You got ChatGPT out there, you got Google, you can do anything to find this information out. But what is the difference between the two and why are these important? So here's the question. What is the difference between the two operating systems and why are they important? Now, normally I'll put these questions inside of the discussion, but only thing you're going to see in that discussion is this. Answer the questions within the video. And this is your first question. So you're going to see a number 1 pop up here. And I'm not going to have a question. I'm just going to say number 1. And with that, you will have to answer the question I just asked. And let me say the question again. Compare and contrast. What is the difference between the Windows operating system and the Linux operating system? And why are they so important in the IT industry? Tell me what you think. Give me your opinion on this. Now, if I jump over here to the Linux, I'm just going to basically use some really simple commands that is important in Windows that you should know. Basic commands that you should know. I'm not going to go really deep on the commands. I'm just going to look at some basic commands that I think every Linux person should know. So if I type in this word here, man, what manual page do you want? So the man, which stands for manual, man, ls, that gives me the description of the manual of everything you need to know. You can literally study the manual and learn Linux. You don't have to go to take courses and stuff. It'd be hard, but you can study that. And you can see that I'm learning everything about ls. ls means list directory. So that's one of the things that you can use to help you learn about Linux. I'm just doing basic commands that you need to walk away with into your next week, which is your third week. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just start listing commands that you should know. You should know ls. You should know that lists directories within here. So if I want to get into a directory, I can say cd space desktop, as you can see right there, and that will let me in that directory. As you can see right here, now I'm in a desktop directory. So if I need to get some information, I can go to the desktop directory, and I can get out by saying cd space ... Maybe not, I don't have to put the ... in there, but it lets me come out. These are basic commands that you need to know in Linux. As you travel through this Linux section, it's going to break these basic commands down for you. Now, my Windows people saying, but wait a minute, Professor, I'm studying Windows. Why do I need to know this? Because you need to know Linux, and I'm pushing that hard. For my Linux people, when I go into Windows, you're going to understand why you need to know. People, you need to master the operating systems. That's the quintessential key to understanding everything about IT. I don't care if they talk about networks. I don't care if they talk about security. Whatever they talk about. You need to master these operating systems, because these operating systems are the key to being able to move forward. So as you can see here, if I type in here right now, ls -l, this gives me a listing. Now, for my security people, why is this important to know this? So here's a question that I would like to ask of all of you. Question number 2. Why is security so important between these two operating systems? Let me say that again. Why is security so important between these two operating systems? Now, those who know what this means, they're going to understand why security is important. And then they're going to be able to explain it. But do a little research this week. Find out why security is so important with these two operating systems. I'm not asking you to do a deep dive. I'm asking you to think. Now, some of these commands I'm not going to go into because in reality, they're not essential. Now, this command, of course, who am I? That's essential, because you want to know whenever you working on a Linux operating system, who has mastery and control over that system the moment you start working on that. So that's a command that's really important. I'm only going to do a few of these commands because I want these commands to be something that you really dig into, but I don't also want to make a long video. This command is truly important. PWD right here. It says the PWD command is used to display your current location. Where are you on a directory? Where exactly are you? And that's what we use the PWD command for. So as you can see, these basic commands do one important thing. They give you mastery over the operating system, the Linux operating system. And that's what you want to do. You want to have mastery over the Linux operating system. So I threw 2 questions out there. We're going to move into the third one. Now, like I said, a lot of these commands, like you can type in the history command and understand the history. I have never used the history command to go back and find a command. So it's good to know, but I never actually used it in my life. Some people probably do use it. I have never met somebody who actually used the history command, but that's okay. I don't need to use the date command because I can go back and look at the date command. But just make sure you have mastery over the basic commands. And going back to the basic, you want to know what ls is. You want to know what ls-l is. You want to know pwd. You could have an argument for knowing history. But if I'm using multiple commands in that particular date, I don't want to have to look through a list of commands. And I'm not going to remember that the command was on line 9. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to remember that. But anyway, you can. Let's go through and see if there's a few other commands that you should know. It also talks about shell variables. That's good to know the different variables of how to set a command. Like you can do the echo hello student, and it'll print hello student out. Now that comes in play later on in Linux when you get to the advanced level, because you're going to learn how to echo commands to actually produce what you want on a particular screen. But it's good to know that. So a lot of these other commands I'm going to shoot by, because these are commands that I don't use on a daily basis, because you wouldn't use them on a daily basis in Linux unless it called for something like that. But for me, no. Anything else? Let me see if there's anything else in here that stands out. Now, for you as a student, I want you to learn all these commands, because you haven't yet got to the level to say, well, that's not important, this is important. No, you haven't got to that level yet. But I want you to use every one of these commands so you can eventually get to that level. Let me see what else in here that's important. Let me see. Quotes. So them are basically the important commands of this particular section for me. But let me say this. For you, learn all of them and build your list of commands that are important to you. Don't just say, oh, well, the professor said that wasn't important. No, don't go by what the professor said. Remember, you are learning this, and as you begin to learn, you will get better, and you'll be able to decide what commands you'll use on a daily basis. Now, another important thing is to know what operating system you're using. I talked about this in another video. You are using the Ubuntu operating system. So this is important for you to know. Remember, Linux is built on distributions. It's multiple distributions out there, and you're going to deal with 2 or 3 within this class here. And the first one is Ubuntu. Now, you should know the history of where that actually came from, how it was actually brought forth. But this is one of the most powerful distributions out there. It's solid, it's sound. A lot of people using it, a lot of organizations using it, and I want you to know that you're using the Ubuntu. For my Windows people who haven't taken Linux classes as of yet, this is how simple it is to have mastery over your operating system. Now, in the Windows world, let's jump over to the Windows world. In the Windows world, labs that's teaching you also how to dig into these applications. And I'm just going to do a little of this because I know you guys are hitting it out the park. I've been looking at your work. You're doing well. And the reason I love this is because you have to score 100%, or the lab going to say, do it over. And that's how I'm moving with all of my courses. I'm bringing you the best of the best of material out there that can actually get you into learning these courses really well. Don't shortchange yourself, people. Learn it. Learn how to do it. Learn how to do everything. And these virtual worlds that I'm picking to put you in I sit with a team of people, I bring forth this stuff, and I say, this is what you need to know to make sure you're really learning the course. Do not play with it, because I work hard to make sure you get the best material so you can be prepared to work in this field. And if you don't take it serious, I can say this to you without a shadow of a doubt, it won't take you serious. You won't be able to get in this industry. So in this here, it's just you doing a simple Windows user interface. You're just learning how to do Windows user interface. As you can see, and I'm looking this way because I got my little notes over here. You know I keep my notes on the side. So in other words, without reading through that, when you need to get to something really, really quick, you have tools inside of Windows. If you notice in the Linux section of this, I just typed in commands, and commands will bring up stuff. My Linux students are going to learn how to type in commands and open up applications, run programs. You just going to point and click and open up applications and run programs. But here's the third question. Which one of these applications are really essential and important to the industry when it comes to mastering and controlling the operating system? I'm going to let you answer that question. Which one is essential when it comes to controlling and mastering the operating system? Now, I know some of you are at a disadvantage because you don't know anything about other mastery tools. I'm not trying to tell you the answer. Mastery tools inside of Windows that we use outside of just pointing and clicking. But if you know them, put it in the description. Tell me about it. Tell me which one it is. That's the third question. Okay, so it says click start. So I'm going to go to the start and click it. Then it says right click on start, excuse me. Then I'm going to go to settings. And as you can see in this settings screen, you can actually see all of your settings that give you mastery over the operating system. I'm going to move my little picture down just a little. Okay, give you mastery of the operating system. Now, I maximize the Windows. It wants me to go to personalization. I'm going to click on that. And from there, it wants me to click lock screen. Okay, so here's lock screen. I'm going to go down here to lock screen right here. Use the drop down to select photos. So all you have to do is just be careful when you do this. So I'm clicking on the screensaver, and I'm going to go down and select photos, right? So a photo popped up, and then it says set the timer to 5. Okay, wait 5 seconds before that kick in. Okay, so now we got the 5 minutes in there. Now I'm going to go click on resume to display the login screen, and you will see it right there. Then just click OK. So that's how simple it is to do the Linux. We completed this first section right here. Now you see how easy it was to complete this section right here. Now it says here in number 2, check for updates. It says here from the settings app, select Windows updates. So from the settings app, I'm come down here, click on Windows update. You all should be updating your systems. Check your systems to make sure that you constantly updating, because that's how hackers get into your systems, by you not updating. Now it says click right here. I'm gonna click the updates right here, check for updates. It's gonna run through the pattern of do updates, and then I'm gonna come up here and answer the question. And the question says how many updates? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, so that would be my answer. 4 right there. I'm gonna shrink that back down. Okay, so I just checked for updates. I knocked out 2 things, but it taught me something important. It taught me what I need to do for my system, and it also taught me how to do this for other systems out there in the real world. So we want to make sure you're getting that understanding. The next thing it says here, the add and configure the sales printer as the default printer. So I'm not going to do that. I just want to keep this video short. But you get a chance to see how simple it is to do these particular lessons and what you are learning and gaining. Now, on my YouTube page, I am going to be producing the entire script for each one of the lessons. But for you, I'm just narrowing it down to give you this important information. Have you utilized these tools to check your system? Windows students gonna say, hey, you talking about Linux, and guess what, Professor? I'm doing Windows. Well, here's a question for you. Is there a way that you can go into the system and go in here and use a tool that would allow you in the Windows world to put and install Ubuntu onto your system, where you can utilize Ubuntu to run in a Windows world? Listen to this. If you're a Windows student that's saying, I'm not studying Linux, I'm studying Windows, is there a way that you can actually go into your system and have Linux running on a Windows system? And if so, tell me, Windows people, tell me, Linux people, you're leveling up, people. Don't look at these little things you're going through in the class. Level up. This is not a situation where you should be saying, I can't. Remember my motto. You should be saying, I can. Explain to me. With that being said, this is Professor Sistrunk. I'm going to send this video log out to you. And also, it will be your discussion question. Pay attention to the questions that's in here and make sure you have a thorough understanding of it.